Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Now, Witch's Guide is still in the works here. Many incredible things happening. So, I will have to just place it on hold, but we will be continuing on with the alignment guide, and we are taking a look at our first step into the depths of evil. We are starting off with Lawful Evil for this. And now, Lawful Evil, I'm sure many of you can surmise by now whether you're new and have been watching this series throughout so far, or if you're a veteran gamer, you can pretty much pick out what Lawful Evil is going to be at this point. A Lawful Evil character values the law. They see use in the law. They make use of the law regularly, judicious use, in fact, and they know and understand it very well. They believe in hierarchical structures. They love a strong power base, a strong government with rules well enforced. But being inherently evil characters, predominantly they are going to look at that and see the advantages of such a system for themselves, for their goals, or for whatever larger group they may be part of. The goal will be the advancement of that group, not because of the law or because it's the right thing to do, but because the law is there and exists to enrich and empower them. Lawful evil characters tend to see the laws as something to be used against other people rather than for other people, and the laws rarely apply to them. It's one thing to say, all my underlings, they cannot drink, but me, I am going to drink readily, heartily, and happily until I am completely and absolutely sloshed. Why? I have my underlings to enforce discipline, and I will enforce discipline on my underlings. I am going to enjoy myself, however, because clearly I've worked hard and need to enjoy this little treat for myself. Lawful Evil is thoroughly and utterly obsessed with their own enrichment. They will use every loophole. They will exploit every opening, every little technicality. Whether it's little, great, or somewhere in the middle, is too much for them to exploit. They will use every last thing that they can. These types of characters are your greedy politician types, your weaselly, loophole exploiting lawyers that get criminals out of jail by using some weird little technicalities, or through spin of their words, dancing around within the confines of the law, whatever gaps that they can find and exploit. They are masters at using those little gaps, that little bit of wiggle room, and just snaking their way right in. Not only that, but they tend to have a corrupting effect as well. Devils, outsiders, one of my most favorite kinds of enemies to throw at people. The Nine Hells rely entirely upon ironclad laws. It's a wholly lawful evil society in the realms of hell, and it is brutally, rigidly enforced. And naturally, of course, those that are superior will enjoy all the benefits of the law, but very few of the drawbacks, or at least as much as they can get away with underneath the eye of Asmodeus. Everybody else further downhill, they get a little bit less to enjoy. Certainly still better than the people down below them, but still not as much as their superiors. And thus, right there, you will find that all the way up, every single level, every single strata of society, whether in the Nine Hells or within a lawful evil society, people are going to be conniving and coming up with ways to try to advance their station. Now, they may be technically breaking the rules, but you better have evidence if you're going to accuse them. Where is your evidence? Where is your proof? As a lawful evil person will resort to things that are technically law-breaking, but you need to have proof in order to confront them, and they will use the laws as a shield to protect themselves from their own underhanded dealings. This is entirely unlike a neutral evil person. A neutral evil person will see the law and go, yeah, that can be useful, but they are so focused on their own self-fulfillment, their enjoyment, whatever their gluttonous, ravenous appetites may be, that they will casually and carelessly bowl over the law, believing that their might makes right. And we'll get more into neutral evil next week. But lawful evil will be careful, thoughtful, meticulous, and judicious in their use of the law, using it both as a dagger and as a shield with which to protect themselves. And if those means fail them, well, they're not above hiring some nobody underling to go and slip some poison into a rival magistrate's drink, or hiring an assassin to plant a bolt in their back. But once they're done with that, nameless nobody is going to wind up face down in a ditch somewhere. That assassin's going to be caught, have his tongue cut out, and then hung for the murder. Couldn't get what they needed, the information they needed out of him during confession. Torturers got carried away and just sliced out their tongue too fast. Whoopsie daisy, it happens. But that's what a lawful evil person will do. Alternatively, a lawful evil person does not necessarily have to be someone that is so entirely underhanded. They can be a thoroughly honorable person, or at least honorable in that they will obey and adhere to their contracts, to their oaths, to whatever higher authority, magistrate, or king, or kingdom that they may be serving. But in taking those oaths, they will see no act as wrong. Whatever their Lord commands, they will go through and carry it out. Butcher the entire village? This oath-sworn, oath-bound warrior will go through and be a murderous reaver, scything their way through the whole village, putting everything to the torch, butchering the livestock, the women, the children, the elderly. This person may not be entirely incompassionate, but they will be ruthless in obeying the letter of the law that their Lord has handed down to them. And one of the prime examples of this actually comes from the Firefly movie. Serenity. Sorry, I don't know why my brain skipped a beat there for a moment. But the agent in Serenity, and spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, he knows thoroughly that he is a monster, that what he does is evil. But he believes within the depths of his heart that it must be done, because he is helping the Alliance to create better worlds. He's making a better world. He's making the entire, in the entirety of the Alliance's space better. Evil things have to be done in order to achieve this greater good. These higher men, these men and women that lead the Alliance, they shouldn't and don't need to dirty their hands. One or two of them who know about his existence and know how to employ him and give him orders, maybe they have to, but it keeps the rest of the Alliance's hands clean, and it does the dirty work of speeding things along and making everything better. And that right there, it's a flawed look at everything. It's a flawed look and logic. At least as far as I'm concerned, it's flawed. But there is a stream of logic there. There is a stream of reasoning there. One that you can follow and is unfortunately all too human. But it serves to humanize these lawful evil characters. I mean, it does nothing to dissuade the notion in your head that this type of person needs to be stopped and needs to go down. But how many people have had a righteous cause throughout our own history, have taken up a righteous cause and committed some of the most debased and vile acts possible? How many people, for fear of the fact that they could be very well crushed up and caught under the treads of some fascist society, decided it was better to keep their heads down and follow the letter of the law as enforced by the higher authority that they served under? They consigned away hundreds to their deaths, just so that they wouldn't have to worry about themselves or their family being thrown to the wolves too. Now, you could argue that that person was doing this out of fear. But it's the banality of evil. That's the banality of evil right there. Some faceless bureaucrat lost in the system who, for fear of not wanting to put a target on his back, decided it was okay to consign the lives of others away to their own oblivion. And that right there is what evil is. And that's how you spread evil down to lower elements of society that hold very little power individually in and of themselves. That's how you construct a lawful evil society. There's a powerful central authority that absolutely is evil. They have underlings beneath them that believe that this is what they should be doing, whether it's because they've sworn an oath to their liege and lord, they've sworn an oath to defend their land, and to do whatever's necessary to do so. They've sworn an oath because they believe this is the right cause, understand that what they're doing is evil, but are willing to carry it out because they believe that will create a better world. And those people, those forces higher above that control these vast military powers will, or policing powers as the case may be, same difference depending on the society, they will enforce those layers of fear. They will sweep up all the malcontents, the discontented people, anybody that protests, anybody that gets out of line, gets swept up and very publicly is made an example of. Or, if they're not publicly made an example of, they're just swept off and disappear from the face of the earth as far as anybody else is concerned. And what's more terrifying than that? Knowing that if you say something, if you look at someone wrong, you will be taken out, quietly out back somewhere, shot and ditched into an unmarked grave. That's what lawful evil is, and that's how lawful evil seeps its way down, through layers of fear, control, absolute authoritarianism. Or, if it's not absolute authoritarianism, they do their best to distract and entertain. I mean, it's not always the most accurate example, but look at the Hollywood take on the late Roman period, how many debased and debauched Roman emperors they depict, the Roman leadership, the military elites. Actually, one of my other favorite examples is Batiatus from the Spartacus series in the first season, played wonderfully by John Hannah. Absolutely wonderful performance. If you haven't seen it, definitely take a look at it. But that man is entirely lawful evil, through and through. Absolutely great example of this. He's willing to technically break the law, but he does the best he can to cover his tracks and tries to use law and position as well as money to coerce, cajole, bribe, and murder his way up the ranks of Roman society. This is what a lawful evil character does, or an example of what a lawful evil character can be. And it's played so wonderfully. Even if you don't watch the whole series, just look up some scenes from him on YouTube or somewhere else on the internet. Absolutely incredible, and should give you some great ideas and insights on how to portray your own lawful evil characters, whether you're a player or you're a DM looking to put together some NPCs and get some ideas for a lawful evil inspired society. Absolutely perfect example of this. But with that said, this is just my take on what lawful evil is, and certainly, like with all the other alignments, it's a very, very broad concept, and there are certainly other ideas and other ways that you can play out a lawful evil character. Bear in mind, it's all in how you approach it and how your character feels, how you portray your character's actions after they've done something that would be, well, evil. Are they just casually dismissive or disinterested? Do they argue and protest every single accusation along the way? There are so many ways that you could go about this, and I hope that you take this and just find a little bit of inspiration. With that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. And now for my usual spiel. If you have enjoyed today's content, why not consider giving me a like down there and dropping down into the comments and giving me some feedback. Hell, even if you didn't like what I've covered here as being Lawful Evil, let me know what you think. I want to know what you think. Share down your own examples of Lawful Evil characters, and go ahead and click the dislike button as well. But if you've been enjoying content overall, or are curious about what else I may have coming in down the pipe as we continue discussions along, consider subscribing to the channel. We're always happy to have more people down here at the Gamer's Den. But, like I said, I've been your host, Jordan, and I hope you all have yourselves a good night.